So when we take this square and this compass and we close these edges, we know we get this, right? Like that's common sense. We get this. And that's why we know this is a symbol of the cabal or the symbol of the cable. Let me make sure my screen is on. We're closing down here. This is the final part. 3 hours and a half. Question and answer going in strong. Let me just check my screen real quick. Where's Wirecast? There we are. Okay. Just to show you, oh, it's the boogeyman. They fucking steal everything. They steal it and they demonize it. Now when you show it, you're a Mason. Okay, but check it out. It's this sign, and it's become now the symbol of the cabal. Okay? But the word cabal is a cable. This is where this word comes from. This is not Sevan making this up. A cabal is a cable because it's a reference to this. This is a cable, also known as the cobble, okay? The serpent eating its tail, okay? Because this, what is being referred to, is a language, okay? This is a language. A language is the Kabbalah. That's why they call it the Kabbalah, and they throw you all these symbols and all that kind of stuff, and people say, oh, that's the serpent. And they get all scared and they run away, but they never crack the knowledge. And this knowledge is shrouded by these kind of symbols, so nobody touches it. So, the Cabal is a cable because this is A, where it begins, and this is Z, where it ends. But they both connect because the A is supposed to connect to the Z. I'm just using a reference here, that the A is supposed to connect to the Z. And that creates a complete cable or a cabal or a circle, a perfect circle, an anu or a year, everything that's supposed to happen. Okay? They call this a serpent's wisdom, right? So in this awareness, you realize what this symbol really is. And let's go back to it. Is a reference to a compass. Okay? I never knew how like a compass in a basically a protractor in a compass, basically something to measure the sky and something to measure the earth could be seen as something that is so evil. Just so we get what's happening here. At the end of this conversation, just think about this. So all this is something to measure the sky and something to measure the ground. And in this, you're supposed to find out some type of wisdom. You're supposed to know, and they say this G could stand for God. It could stand for geometry, right? But what really happens here, what this is really about is that once you do the math, because that's what this is really about. It's about math and geometry, right? Once you do the math, you'll find out something very strange. And this is that the proportions of Earth, how far even one state is from another, how long it takes for the sun to pass over certain areas, etc. It's actually all written also in the sky. And when you realize that, you become what is known as enlightened because you see this system. Because the tones and the vibrations, to answer the question, actually even also correspond to the cycles and the sounds. And what you find in the lyre, what they call the 7-string lyre, right? Which is a instrument, and the flutes, right? Like the flute of Pan, right? And the drums, right? There's a timbral or a sequence of power that is recognized, and it's universal. And if you knew astronomy and you knew geometry, by your second major class, you would already start seeing that connection, especially if you had a great teacher. And that's all this meant. It meant geometry. You knew geometry and you knew astronomy, and thus you were able to unlock the secret of the Cabal, the beginning to the end. You were able to connect the two and to realize that there was no such thing as death. And then you became the Lord of the Ring. Okay? That's what that means. You became the Lord of the Ring. You got the ring, the language, that allows you to know who you are, the program that is running inside of you, the program that is running inside of others in this immediate space. And then you became as wise as a serpent, as it's mentioning, because a serpent has been here in the ground for a long time, in the ocean, down deep for a long time. And it projects. As I said, it's dead but dreaming. But they're really saying that it's a projection. It sends out a constant signal of the awareness. Some people connect it to the moon, the subconsciousness of the moon. That's what this book reveals by Pierre Sabak. You know, I still got to get on with Pierre and be like, Pierre, I discovered that not all these entities are actually out to destroy us and hurt us. I think that was actually just David Icke's idea of things. Did you ever notice that also, and this is when you connect these two books, when you connect The Murder of Reality and Wombs and Alien Spirits, now, you know, that's some thick stuff right there. You know, you got to be able to go through that. But when you connect that, you will realize the power, but just why people can't handle the power. Like why it's also, people are scared and afraid, like, because it's deep stuff. This is womb magic, you know, attracting, these stars are coming through and they're ready to inseminate inside of the womb of virgins or any other kind of being that will allow them to actually come in and get another body. So if you don't have an ancient mother back there or inside of you that is saying to other spirits, no, not here, you cannot come inside of her and be inside of the lineage. You need to stay out there a little bit longer. Get yourself together. If you don't have those out there that are saying, well, your ancestors came in on a celestial boat. That's really, in this book, The Murder of Reality proves that the entire Arabic language is a reference to the arrival of these beings. And this goes further into saying they subdue reality and they took over things. And that's because the author, unfortunately, which is still a good friend of mine, was under the perception that this modern system of occultism, which is coming through the Catholic Church and coming through the Jesuits, is a real truthful reference to what all this ancient knowledge was really about, when it is not. They are thieves. And it's easy to take something and say, this is wrong, hate this is the wrong thing, especially if it's of a sexual nature or a sexual nature or a funkendating nature, because it involves components that you need to be mature about in order to handle. And so that's what I have to say to everyone here today. This is the follow-up of the question and answer. There's one final question here. It says, should you be concerned with building anything that offers services to the community? Is there a need for these type of services during the shift that is happening? You know, first of all, the community is your family. So I guess the question here is, should there be a concern about building anything for your family and offering things to your family? Is there a need for these type of services during the shift that is happening? So answer the question now again with putting, instead of community, which is even why I don't even use that term sometimes, because it gets abused, even though, again, it's just activating triggers. It's nothing specifically wrong with the word. It's tied into communication and coming together in communication. So should we be concerned about building something? If you can build something, think about what I just revealed. I just revealed to you how you should build, because they call themselves the builders, right? But they're not. Okay? To build, you need to know the language. You need to know the codes. You need to know this kind of stuff. This is what you would really be using to build something that would be building like nature builds. See, all empires tried to build like nature builds because nature is shown to be perpetual. It's actually a long time and it's still going. So if you can build anything around you the same way nature is building, then it will last. So this is where the astronomy, because the stars affect the planet, and then the geometry, how things are measured, how things are all put in together in proportions, what amounts, all that stuff was key to the realization, the illumination, if you may, of the awareness of who you really are. You see how this all works? Like if you feel afraid, you throw out a dragon on you got this dragon now. You instead of the dragon being your enemy, it's a guard at your gate. So if there's something that is terrifying you, send the dragon out there. You see what I mean? Likewise, if you've been a dragon all your life and now it's hot, now you're bar, you don't have any more assignments, everything, you burned everything up, even your own wife. That's the mystery of also Saturn, is that in that coldness, it's funny because, you know, you can, it's like a burning someone with cold. In that coldness of how the divine feminine is treated, there's no more abundance, there's no more wetness, right? And then in that, you get a drought. Now you're mad, now you're upset, now you don't have purpose. This is the other side of Saturn. That's why I would love you to realize today that if it goes really well, all your planets are in tune and in balance, and you're having fulfillment. The family is together. If it's not going well for you, everybody is your enemy. You have all these enemies. You don't know what the meaning of the symbols are. There's some being that's so powerful, he can take your life, take your children's lives, take everybody else's life. And then that would be the story that we bought into, not the truth. Okay? And this is what I have to say for today. I just wanted to let everybody know that it's always been my intention to continuously stand with truth, because I know when these winds start blowing and this whole thing, even if it just melts, I'll still be standing there as I truly am. I've experienced times where I've lost the body as you know it, died, if you may, to only witness there was still a thinking and a reflecting off of self going on back there, which was wild because it defeats death. It shows that death has no hold, nor does any fears that death brings with it. So if you're saying that all of these things are dark, evil, and despicable, I'll have to say, let me go see. And because I'm not afraid of any of that. And I actually am a healer and I'm a teacher. So I want to know why that's happening. I want to know what I can do for you as a family member to what you're experiencing in your trauma and in your distortion. But if I come to your house and I look up that you've been lying, you see what I mean? Like if I go and all the stuff's out of place and you've stolen from me, meaning that all of our birthrights have been stolen, your language, your codes, your power are missing. Do you know what's going to happen when you get that back completely? Do you know what's going to happen when you truly figure out the meaning of the pentagram and the hexagram and the square and the compass and the cabal and the serpents and the birds and the bees? And when you know about all of that, now you're mature. Now you're adept. Now you're adult. And the reason why I decided to do this, because that is the force in itself that can overcome the one that we're disgruntled about right now. You with your real power, not the fake stuff. Your real power and awareness to your prosperity, your guardianship, how to guard yourself, how to guard your garden.